Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's video, that's going to take us to around the 27th of October. So we're running down the clock towards the end of the month now. We're going to start off with what's happening in the tropical Atlantic, and then we'll go on and have a look at weather next week, 10 days. We're going to extend out beyond that the extended GFS and E7 ensembles, and we'll also have a look at Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days at the end of the video. That takes us well into November, of course. Thanks all of you for your lovely birthday wishes. I'm always amazed and surprised that people remember that today is my birthday. So thank you everybody for all of your very kind wishes here, there, on social media and on Gaz Webbies and elsewhere too. So thank you so much everybody for that, having a very nice day, and thank you very much everyone for that. Right, so we're going to start off in the tropical Atlantic. So this is the latest situation in the tropics. Things have got a bit quieter, although we have got this red X just here. That is a disturbance area with now a high chance of becoming our next named tropical storm, which I believe will be Tropical Storm Nestor. So it's disturbance 1 with an 80% chance now of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. They're saying at the National Hurricane Centre, showers and thunderstorms associated with a broad area of low pressure located over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico continue to show signs of organisation. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for additional development, and a tropical or subtropical storm is likely to form later today or tonight while the system moves generally northeastwards over the Gulf of Mexico. The low is forecast to approach the northern or northeastern Gulf Coast by Friday or Saturday, and regardless of development, the system is likely to produce gusty winds and rough surf over those areas. Locally, heavy rainfall is also possible across portions of the southeastern US later this week and this weekend. Interests along the northern and northeastern Gulf Coast should monitor the progress of this system for more information about marine hazards while the low moves across the Gulf of Mexico. See products issued by the Tropical Analysis and Forecast Branch of National Hurricane Centre. An Air Force Reserve reconnaissance aircraft is scheduled to investigate the system this afternoon if necessary. It looks like they're going to put a plane up and have a look at it later on. So you've got an 80% chance of tropical cyclone formation in the next 2 days, and an 80% chance in the next 5 days. That looks highly likely to be our next named storm. Sea surface temperature anomalies is actually quite warm in the Gulf of Mexico at the moment as well. So if we go back to here, we can see where the disturbance area is. It's sort of just there. So looking at that area in the Gulf of Mexico, we can see the sea surface temperature anomalies in that area are a little bit warmer than average, and they get even warmer actually as we go up towards the Gulf Coast of the US. So as this disturbance area is running northwards through this part of the Gulf of Mexico, there is energy available via warm sea surface temperature anomalies there, potentially to start to invigorate this. So be interested to see how this develops over the next couple of days, but certainly there is energy available within the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico to start to power this up. So all eyes, I think, will be on the Gulf in the next couple of days. Well, coming back closer to home, these are how the 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts are looking from the Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars, 85 meters area in the atmosphere, high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure blue to low pressure. So we can see it with the ECMWF looking very unsettled with the ECM in the 7 to 10 day time frame, which takes us towards the final stages of October. We've got a blocking area of high pressure up over Greenland, and then we've got low pressure over the UK and extending back into the Atlantic as well. That looks very unsettled and is marking the boundary between relatively mild air coming up from the south and cold air trying to dig in from the north. And of course, along the boundary of those two different air masses, we'll have a waving weather front, or we would have a waving weather front that could produce a lot of wet weather. This is how the GFS is looking in the week to 10-day time frame. So again, low pressure is out in the Atlantic. We're blocking area of high pressure up towards Greenland. This low over here across northern Europe, that's trying to introduce much colder air from the north. But there's also this ridge across eastern Europe that's trying to maintain warm air from the south. For us anyway, it looks quite unsettled in the week to 10-day time frame. And relatively mild up to that point with the wind coming in from the southwest. But of course, with this blocking feature up to the north, it wouldn't take that much to turn the winds around to the north by month's end. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. So next couple of weeks, we're looking at London today. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're a little bit below average at the moment. We're going to go a bit cooler than that over the next few days into the start of next week. Then early next week to middle of next week, temperatures actually lift up a bit. Gets a bit warmer. After that, we have a lot of scatter. GFS ensembles look like they're backed away from the chance of colder weather during the final days of October and start of November. Although I would suspect it's probably around a 50-50 split really between these ensemble members down here that are cold and these ensemble members up here that are quite mild, maybe even fairly warm. And so because of that, the white line, which is the ensemble mean, that's kind of hovering around the 30-year temperature average. But that does mask the fact that there's a big contrast in temperatures between the coldest and warmest members of the GFS ensembles. We are going to get some drier weather, though, over the next few days. We've got more showers and longer spells of rain to come today, tonight, tomorrow. After that, through the weekend inside of next week, definite drying trend until it possibly starts going a little bit more unsettled again during the last week of October. This is for London, remember. If you look to somewhere further north, probably be a little bit wetter than that. Temperature anomalies from the 17th of October to the 25th of October are around average, possibly you would say a little bit below average, particularly for more northern and western parts of the country. This is a very warm week coming up in the east and the southeast of Europe. Precipitation anomalies overall largely on the drier than average side for the UK and Ireland from the 17th to 25th of October. So we are going to get a few days of dry weather, definitely, particularly through the early to middle part of next week. That's how the GFS is looking for Sunday then. Low pressure is sitting in the North Sea on Sunday. The low that got over the top of the country at the moment will be in the North Sea on Sunday. A ridge is building up from the Atlantic. That's where our little drier interlude is coming from, giving us some respite from the rain. Will be quite cool as winds turn into the north, and that will be particularly noticeable at night with the chance of ground frost, maybe in some air frost for some of us over the weekend inside of next week. That's Monday. The ridge is building in from off the Atlantic on Monday, settling things down. So finally we are going to get a respite from the rain. Tuesday looks a mostly dry day through nearly all parts of the country. That's Wednesday. The ridge still just about holding on Wednesday, but notice it is being attacked from both sides. We've got low pressure around here. We've got quite a big area of low pressure over Spain as well. That could deliver a lot of wet weather down to Spain and Mediterranean. And then we go through into the second half of next week. It starts to look more and more unsettled then as we go through into the early part of next week. Relatively warm though, or mild anyway. The ridge is building up over Greenland at that point, so northern blocking is coming into the mix, and that is trying to force a wind into the north, but most of that northern is actually going into the North Atlantic, powering up this area of low pressure. There's a lot of wet weather associated with that low, and for us, we're on the warm side of the mild side of the low, but it looks like increasingly unsettled really through the second half of next week. However, as we get up towards day 10, we find that low pressure sticks to west of Ireland. Heights are gradually rising both to the north and to the east. And what this particular GFS run does, and it's probably an outlier, but what it does is it eventually takes over with this blocking area of high pressure setting up over Iceland. Now, this is very, very unusual to see a blocking area of high pressure taking over weather around Iceland at any time of year, but particularly in late October, which is generally a very zonal, Atlantic-driven time of the year. So that's quite unusual what's going on there, and that's swinging the wind into the east. And there is some cold air to our east, actually, to start to tap into. That's how we look on Tuesday the 29th of October, bringing a proper easterly wind then. And there's the upper air temperature. So you see we are bringing in some cold air from the east. -5 Celsius ice firm is digging into Scotland, northern parts of England, Scandinavia, western Russia, looking quite cold too. And the blocking gets more extensive actually as we run up towards the end of the GFS run. So this is the final day of October. This is Halloween. 31st of October, and winds are properly in from the north or northeast there, with a blocking area of high pressure, large blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland. And that's how we look at the end of the GFS run, which is Saturday the 2nd of November, as far as we can go. We're still looking quite cold and blocked even then. -5 Celsius ice firm is through many parts of the country. That would deliver a cold start to November with widespread frost, and you wouldn't rule out the chance of snow showers for northern parts of the country, maybe shaping up or setting up a cold Halloween and a bonfire night combination. That's how the GEM is looking. So this is the old West Central for the GEM today. It's not been updated, unfortunately, at new West Central. But this is how things looking on Sunday anyway, rather unsettled on Sunday for the east anyway, with further showers, but ridge is building in from the west, taking over through the early part of next week, bringing a respite from the rain and getting us to drier conditions. Into the middle of next week, it gradually starts to turn more unsettled. The high pressure is eroded. That's Thursday next week. The high pressure is being eroded from like the north, from the west, and from the south. Just low pressure on all sides, squeezing the life out of that high pressure. So the second half of next week turning increasingly unsettled and wet. And as we get up towards day 10, that's how we're looking, very unsettled. And eventually, yes, we are starting to swing the winds into the north. So colder air is beginning to dig in from the north at day 10 with the GEM. There's the upper air temperature showing the -5 Celsius ice firm is digging into the northern half of the country as the milder air is being forced down to the south. There's a bit of a battle going on with that, though. So you'll see we've got this very deep area, low pressure over Scandinavia. There's more low pressure to our west-southwest. This is all probably interconnected by a weather front that's doing something like that, and further waves along that front can be expected to push northeastwards. If it was winter, you would probably think a little bit about chance of snow events in that kind of situation. It's only October, so we're not going to get that, but we may find ourselves going into a battleground UK type situation by month's end from there, and that could produce a lot of rain. And then this is how the ECM is looking. So once again, on Sunday, low pressure is clearing away to the east, but it probably still brings more showers to east of Scotland, northeast England on Sunday. For the early part of next week, though, high pressure is increasingly taking over the weather, bringing drier conditions, and we do get a break in the wet weather. However, again, same idea by the middle of next week, as early as Wednesday. This high pressure is really under attack. We've got low pressure up here. We've got more low pressure just there. We've got low pressure to our south. So there's lows to the north, to west, and to the south. And that high pressure is really being put under pressure, and it is weakening dramatically. So as we get into the second half of next week, here comes low pressure steamrolling back in from off the Atlantic, turning us unsettled with showers along the spells of rain. Quite a cold northwest wind setting up there on Friday the 25th of October. And then this is setting up a battle situation as we move up towards day 10. So it's a very complicated pattern. We've got high pressure developing around Greenland, just there. We've got low pressure through Scandinavia. We've got another deep area of low pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. And then this high pressure warm ridge is down to the south but weakening. So again, there would be fronts sort of strung out, and in this kind of position as we're going through to day 10, which is Sunday the 27th of October. That front is kind of stuck over country on the southern side of the low, or of the front, there's relatively mild air, but on the northern side of the front, there's quite cold air. And if it was winter again, you'll probably be thinking about a snow event from that, at least on the northern side of that weather front. It's only October, so we're talking about heavy rain potentially. With that bringing this wet October to a very wet end. There's the upper air temperature showing the contrast in the temperatures at day 10 from the ECM. So cold air is digging in to the north. We've got warm air to the south. In between, this is where the contrast in the temperature is around there. And that's where there's the potential for a lot of very wet weather. It would be interesting to think what air mass will win that battle. I suspect in the end we will probably see the cold air forcing its way southwards at least for a while before maybe seeing a return of milder conditions. Who knows? Can't go beyond day 10 with the ECM operational. This is a rainfall forecast from tameteo.com for the next few days. So we're starting today, showers primarily in the west today, but they do get more widespread actually as we go into this evening. So we're going to find showers becoming more widespread and probably merging into longer spells of rain as well this evening. And then as we go into, that's annoying, let's try and lift that back up again so we can see what dates we're talking about. So then as we go into tomorrow, further showers across the south and west of the country. They last into the weekend, but gradually we see the shower risk easing off. So that by Sunday, the showers are particularly across eastern Scotland and northeastern parts of England, things gradually starting to dry out. Through early next week, we get a respite from the rain. We turn drier through the early part of next week. But by midweek, we've got rain and wet weather coming back in from both the south and from the west. And into the second half next week, increasingly wet across southeastern parts of the country. Also some heavy rain through central areas too. And then moving up to day 10, we'll go a bit colder. This is Friday 25th. There is a suggestion of a little bit of winteriness in the showers there across parts of Scotland and northern England. And it just turns increasingly wet then as you get this dividing line between the air masses moving up towards day 10. It turns really wet, particularly across England and Wales, so that by the time we get through to day 10, which I'm going to roll through once again to get to it, by the time we get through to day 10, we look very, very wet across England and Wales, but Scotland and Northern Ireland looking dry. Of course, the boundary between warmer and colder air masses could be further north or could be further south of that. These are the options that we have on the table with the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is 27th of October. We have 24 members of the ECM ensembles, including the operational run. That's the run we've just been talking about, with high pressure blocking things out towards Greenland and low pressure with active weather fronts marking the boundary between the cold air trying to dig in from the north and milder air trying to push up from the south. So they're very, very unsettled, as we've already established. So we have 14 members of the east ensembles with low pressure to our east, blocking area of high pressure to the west. So they're turning wind into the north. So they're unsettled, but they're colder too. And then 13 with a ridge through the UK and going towards Greenland. They're the most settled option, but probably not all that warm. Could be bringing in a wind from like an east-southeasterly direction there. And then these are the options that I've got in 2 weeks' time. There's a lot of them. This is for the first day of November. So 13 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our north and east, bringing up the winds from more of a southerly type direction. So they're quite dry and they would be relatively mild too. But then 13 just here, or another 13 with a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland and a trough of low pressure over the UK. They look very unsettled and much cooler with the UK on the cold side of the jet stream. 11 with a ridge of high pressure out to the west of us. They're going to be settled, probably quite cool, with winds coming in from like a north to northwesterly direction. 8 that again have a mid-Atlantic ridge, extend that ridge up to Greenland, low pressure to our south and southeast. They're bringing winds probably from a north to northeasterly direction, so they're going to be quite cool and a little bit unsettled. And then 6 with high pressure blocking to the north of us, mainly dry, but probably bringing quite a cold east to northeasterly wind with those. So lots and lots of options on the table. November could either start on quite a dry and warm note, or it could start cold and wet, or it could start cold and dry. There are many, many options there as we get through to 2 weeks away. Well, finally, just have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre before we go. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period will take us from the 16th to the 25th of October. The coming 10 days looks unsettled with low pressure to our north-northwest. High pressure is out to our west-southwest. A little bit unsettled and relatively cool with that one. Then we go through to the next 10-day period, which is the 26th of October to the 4th of November. Mid-Atlantic ridge there with low pressure to our north. That could be bringing winds from a northwesterly direction. Probably more settled, probably drier for the end of October, start of November, but could be a little bit on the cool side. The next 10-day period is the 5th to the 14th of November. Above average heights then kind of through the country to our south a little bit. That will probably send the jet stream northwards. Relatively dry and quiet and probably becoming a bit milder, although we would have to watch out, of course, for mist and fog early and late. And then perhaps a little bit more unsettled in the second half of November. This is the 15th to the 24th of November. Low pressure, below average heights out to our northwest. Above average heights down towards Spain and the Azores. Winds coming in from the west. So relatively mild and probably turning more unsettled. What is quite evident, though, from the Beijing Climate Centre there, is that at no point is it forecasting any northern blocking, any ridging around Greenland or the Arctic or Scandinavia or Iceland or any high latitude area on our side of the pole. Which, of course, is something that we are seeing within the shorter range model output. And this discrepancy between the short range and the long range is something we talked about in yesterday's video, where, again, the short range models were picking up on the chance of high pressure setting up around Greenland, Iceland, that sort of area. But the CFS that time was not interested in it at all. CFS just generally wanted to keep things mild and unsettled. We still have that discrepancy between the short range and the long range today, and we see it through, again, those short range ones like the GFS and the ECM, and this time the Beijing Climate Centre. So a lot of people think that the CFS is often alone in just constantly bringing us southwesterly winds and mild weather, but a lot of these long range models do it as well, and the Beijing Climate Centre is very much in line with what we talked about with the CFS yesterday. So it is a case of long range versus short range, and what's going to happen as we get through to the end of October. I've got a feeling we're going to have to wait a while before it gets particularly cold. I think it may get cold by the end of October, but I think the risk is quite low. I suspect we will go increasingly unsettled, though, again, through this last week of October, and I reckon after a bit of a break from the deluge sort of early to middle part of next week, I've got a feeling the rain will probably come back with a vengeance as we go into the final days of October. It could turn very, very wet, and the climax of that battle of air masses that will fuel that wet weather could then bring down some colder air for the beginning of November. That would be my guess about where this is going, but of course I could be wrong. It's possible that the GFS, for example, is right with this, and high pressure will take over increasingly as we run up towards October, turning us to the end of October, turning us drier, but also colder. We shall see, but it's questions really, and all will be revealed, of course, in the next few days. Right, that's it for your videos for today, for your video for today. I'm going to enjoy the rest of your birthday, so no more videos coming up today. Tomorrow, though, we will have JMA Friday, and we'll have a week to 10-day video update as well. So come back for those updates tomorrow. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.